hello world. Yes, me again. Oh, I've had to go to the dentist earlier this morning. Yeah, just my usual 6-month checkup, and everything's cool, so I can go bush come the winter. Don't have to worry about my teeth playing up. Well, hopefully anyhow, but of course accidents do happen, don't they? Anyhow, before I get on to the local weather and other things, I'd just like to offer my heartfelt condolences to the families who lost loved ones aboard the Germanwings A320 Airbus that crashed into the Alps. What a terrible tragedy. Yeah. Now, as usual, it's time for the local weather. It's quite a stinker here today, Thursday, March 26th. It's around 30 degrees C in my shed office, and it's around 26 degrees under the shade of the awning at the rear of the house. And but the humidity is way up to 95%. That's what's making it very uncomfortable. Now, you'll probably notice, if anyone's watching, that the picture is a vast improvement on what it has been. And that's because I've, with the help of my son, installed my Logitech C920 webcam. And the beauty of it is that I can move it around. Yeah, isn't that great? I can take it off the top of the laptop. Oh, by the way, this is my cat Stuffy. He's stuffed, you see. I saved him from a tree in my backyard some time ago. I uploaded a video about it called, I think it was Old Fart Defies Gravity. That's what, Old Fart Defies Gravity, rescues or saves cat from tree. And this is the cat. That's Stuffy. So I sort of keep him as a bit of a mascot. I usually had planned to put him some of my videos, but I keep forgetting. You know, it's the mind north of normal thing. I just put Stuffy down. Kitty, kitty. Look, before I get on with anything else, I'm just going to lift the camera off the laptop, and I'm going to show you the chronograph I bought. Now this is it. This is the Chrony Chronograph. Yeah, this is the beauty of the. Oh, there's a bit of light coming in through the window, but it's a very compact little unit. It folds in half. It's very sturdy little unit, and this is the sort of little digital readout that comes with. It's got a very long lead. I say it must be close to 3 meters, say 10 feet lead, which means you can have the chronograph well away from the digital display unit. And I've already tried it out. I got my here's my air rifle there, my Ducato Model 35. I'm planning to do a video today. Well, that's a new tower fan I had to buy because my other fan spat the dummy, and I needed something here to get the air circulating in the shed. And you've often heard me go on about how cluttered my shed, or maybe you haven't, but there's some of the clutter in the back of my shed that's behind my desk. And well, enough of that. Anyhow, I'll put this back and get it sopped up, set up. Oh, that looks okay. I just better move this chronograph out of the way, because if I get up, I'm bound to knock it over. It can be a bit clumsy. All right, okay, Stuffy, just move over there. There's a good kitty. Yeah, but the camera, look, the picture is a vast improvement on it was for the inbuilt webcam on my laptop, and I'm very, very happy with it indeed. But I bought it from a local JB Hi-Fi store out the plaza here in Cross Harbour, and I said to the young shop assistant, you know, how do I install it? And he said, oh, it installs itself. Not true. No. I had to get onto the Logitech website and download the app before that could happen. I did buy a Logitech mouse some time ago, and that was easier to install. It did indeed install itself, but not the webcam. But it's a great little unit, It cost me $129 Australian. And the young chap at JB Hi-Fi gave me a little container of screen wipes. And he also gave me an extended warranty, another 2 years, free of charge. It was decent of him, wasn't it? He also proved to be very helpful because when I rang him up and asked how I installed the camera, he said, well, I don't really know. That made two of us. So anyhow, he said, I think you've got to get onto the Logitech website and blah, blah, blah. So as I said before, that's what I did, and no problem whatsoever. Had to get my elder boy to come down to the shed last night just to disengage the webcam, the inbuilt webcam on the laptop, and but that didn't take him any time at all. I tell you, it's always handy. Always handy to have boys around who know the way around the computers and what have you. Right, now, the weather out of the way, and I've got some notes here because I've got to have notes. Isn't always the way, they just won't sit up. Now, I watch the 6 p.m. news here 7 days a week because I like to keep informed about local and world events. And also watch a current affair after the news finishes. And there was a story 2 nights ago of a pensioner who was fined $227 for spitting a cherry pip out the window of his car. Now, if it hadn't been for the diligence of a local council employee, it would have gone unnoticed. But of course, this council employee got hold of his license plate number, and this poor gentleman received the fine. Oh, sorry, I thought there was something wandering around on the floor. For $227 in the mail. And he was outraged. And he had every reason to be outraged. And he has flatly refused to pay the fine. And I agree with him wholeheartedly. There's I would do exactly the same thing, because I'm all for people being fined for littering, because heaven knows there's a lot of it goes on these days. You can go just about anywhere and there's garbage everywhere. I mean, whatever street, whatever road you drive along, you know, there's garbage everywhere. You know, we really are smothering ourselves in garbage. And I've even gone to places that are way off the beaten track to do some fishing. And because these spots are known to the locals in the country towns, they just don't seem to have the common sense to take their rubbish with them. You know, there's campfires, remains of campfires there, and there's beer bottles and beer cans all around and other rubbish. I just don't understand that psychology. I don't understand that mentality. When I go bush, and it's in the winter and I can have a campfire going, I burn what rubbish I can, and all other rubbish then I put in bags, and when I leave the spot, I just deposit that rubbish in the nearest bin that I can find. I don't just dump it on the side of the road. But, you know, a lot of folk do that, sadly. But anyhow, yeah, so as the consequence of the fine and his refusal to pay, he said if push comes to shove, he will go to jail. And I would do the same thing. Well, because what has happened to him, it just lacks all common sense and reason. I mean, a cherry pip, for goodness sake. I mean, it's an organic thing. You know, it'll just break down in no time at all. But all this other rubbish, it can hang around for 1,000 years and still it won't break down. Oh, God. But you see, this is what local, state, and federal government's all about. It's about raising revenue. That's all they're interested in doing. They're a bunch of greedy curs. I mean, sure, you know, they give with one hand a little bit. But then they take it all back multi-handed. You know. And quite often you never know that the fees have gone up for these things. I mentioned this before. Probably, but yeah, like I said, they're hell bent on raising revenue, and this is all that this is. This is just a revenue raise. It's like speed cameras. You know, they say that they're there to reduce traffic accidents, but that's proven to be not so. It's just a revenue raiser. It's the same with the parking inspectors in all towns and cities. You know, they just wander around to raise revenue. Now, I can understand that, you know, you can have certain time limits for parking in some areas, but I think, you know, they've got to have a little bit of leeway with these things. You know, quite often it's very hard to get a parking spot, and if you want to just pull up and double park, which is illegal, of course, to zap into a shop and get something quick, smart, like a couple of litres of milk, say, and back out in less than a minute or two, you know, they should just turn a blind eye to it. But no, they're onto those people quicker than a fly on the fresh dog droppings. Yeah, I sometimes wonder if they just hang around in hiding, just waiting for people to do those things. They can slap them with a fine. Oh no, they're all a bunch of curs as far as I'm concerned. But yeah, the governments, you know, local, state, and federal, they're supposed to govern for and on behalf of the people. But that's a barefaced lie. They don't care whatsoever about the people, about the population. Yeah. They're just into politics for their own self-good. You know, here in Australia, that you've only got to be in politics for a very short time. I think it's 3 years, young or old, in between. And if you suddenly quit politics, you are given a golden pass pension, something like 50 or 60,000 a year. Who wouldn't want to go into politics just to get that? That's for the rest of your life. Whereas the average pension here, old age pension, is around $700 a fortnight, which is about $1,500 a month, or about $18,000 a year. I tell you what, it's a nothing. And yet these curs, these brigands, they get 3-4 times that. And if they happen to stay in politics for an extended period, which many of them do, I mean, they make a total career out of politics. Oh, they get enormous golden handshakes when they finish up. That's not right. Anyhow, but as far as I'm concerned, this $227 fine, you know, on a 1 to 10 pissed off scale, I give it an 8. It's totally way out there. It's totally ludicrous. Now, also, here in Australia, on Saturday, we folk in New South Wales have to vote. Now, we have to vote. It's compulsory to vote in Australia. Yet, it's not compulsory to vote in Great Britain, the mother country, England. Yeah, not compulsory to vote over in England. But here in Australia, it's compulsory to vote. And if you don't vote, you cop a fine. My God, you know, Australia really is one of the highest tax countries in the world. And it is also a country that has enormous amounts of fines and taxes. Well, sometimes they call them levies, because sometimes the government seems to think that if they call it a levy, people will think it's not a tax. But a tax is just a levy under another name. Yeah, so yes, you get fined if you don't vote. So what people do, and they don't want to vote. I don't want to vote. I don't want to be told I have to vote. It should be voluntary. So you have to go along to the polling offices, which they're usually set up in a school or a hall or whatever, and you have to queue up and you have to get your name crossed out on the polling list. That's all a lot of people do, just so they won't get fined. Then you're given the papers, you go to the little cardboard cutout booth, and you vote, if you choose to do so. I always do. I vote for the Shooters and Fishers Party. But a lot of people, they just fold those papers up and just wander out and plonk them in the boxes allocated, the different colour papers, and they don't vote at all. Now, I think the government's more than well aware of this, because they know that it's not a vote against them. You know, my father used to do that all the time, until I pointed out to him, I said, Dad, if you're against a certain political party, vote against them. But by not voting at all, you are virtually voting for the government that's already in government. He said, well, I never really thought of it that way. And that's what's happening. But you see, if voting wasn't compulsory here in Australia, people will take their voting very seriously, and there's a lot of people who do. It would make it a fairer vote. I think you'd see enormous change if voting wasn't compulsory in this country. But it is, and what can we, the everyday men and women on the street, do about it? I tried in the past. I tried to do something about it, but yeah, when you try and engage help to do these things, people are so apathetic. They really are so apathetic when it comes to things like this. Yeah. Anyhow, I think compulsory voting, on a 1 to 10 pissed off scale, I give it a 7. Now, on another topic, and I don't know if it's the same in other countries, but it's a very common practice when you walk into a store and go to a counter, that the individual behind the counter will invariably say, "Are you right? Are you right?" Doesn't dawn on these imbeciles to say, "May I help you?" or "Can I be of assistance?" No, it's, "Are you right?" Oh, God. If I was right, I wouldn't be standing there listening to this moron behind the counter asking me, am I right? And yet, I uploaded a video about that very thing about a month or so ago, posted it or shared it on Facebook, and a lady in America said, "You must live in a totally different world to me, because that's never happened to me." And I thought, no, you must live in a totally different world to me. You mean to say that you've never been into a store and someone has asked you if you are right? Am I right? She said, no. I don't know. Maybe it's just endemic to Australia. Well, on a 1 to 10 pissed off scale, I give it a 10, because it really pisses me off to the nth degree. Yeah. Oh, now, and of course, during this and because we have to vote, we get smothered with television advertisements from the different parties, making promises, all sorts of promises, which they never keep, because politicians basically are just barefaced liars. They're a bunch of barefaced liars. Oh dear, I don't know. Oh, it was just I heard a noise outside, just my wife getting the washing off the line. Oh, just excuse me. It's very hot there. I'm just going to have a sip of tea. Once again, it's nearly empty. Mm. Now, yesterday, I uploaded a very I had a very short live stream, because I had somewhere else to be at a particular time. It was only ended up being about a 5-minute so live stream, and it was about the what it feels to lose a child. I'm not going to go into detail now, because that's all done and dusted, but I was very disappointed with the lack of response. I shared that post on Facebook, that video on Facebook. Not one view. Not one view. On Google Plus, I got 2 likes, or 2 pluses. It says on Google Plus. But yeah, it's very disappointing. And I haven't had many views with these live streams, but that's not surprising. I mean, this is fairly new. These live streams for me are in their infancy. And as I said in yesterday's live stream, I've been toying with ideas of what I could do for it to make it more interesting for people. Maybe I could build up a following then. One thing I was thinking about was putting a backdrop behind me with with Hampton's on-air Hangout live stream from 1 p.m. Monday through to Friday on it. And I don't know, try and think of ways to keep people's interest, you know. Yeah, the sort of thing where you can get a yeah, instead of a yeah, aren't they great? I like them. I really like those things. Yeah. What? Oh, here we go. How's that? I'm a scholar. No, I'm not. I'm not a scholar by any stretch of the imagination. Oh dear. That's pretty, isn't it? Yeah, I'm just fooling around here, just filling a little bit of time at the moment. I don't like the clown thingy. No, I don't like the clown at all. The hat's all right. That's quite good, actually. I don't mind the hat. Yeah, I'm just making a fool of myself, I know. No, I don't want the birthday cake. What about a beard? That doesn't look too bad, actually. It doesn't look too bad. Holy smoke! Oh, look, I better stop throwing around with this. You know, I'm probably boring you enough as it is, and you say, what's this silly old fool doing with this sort of stuff? Maybe I can leave the hat on. Maybe follow me back. Yeah, yeah, look at that, look at that, look at that. Yeah. Anyhow, yeah, showing you the chronograph is because I've mentioned a chap by the name of Vic Shooter before. I got a feeling he must be a Victorian, and he's a shooter in Victoria, Vic Shooter, and he's keen for me to upload more videos of my Jakarta air rifle, and that's what I plan to do with the chronograph. Now, I've already tried it out. I went out to the backyard 2 days ago, and did I say this before? I probably did. And tried it out with the Jakarta Model 35 177 caliber, and yeah, it works terrific. You know, it was 488 feet per second, and the beauty of here is that I've got an awning out the side of the shed here, and that's where I can go out and I can work under the shade. Want to do a bit of welding or plasma cutting and what have you. And the beauty of the shade of the awning is that I don't need to put the diffusers of the chronograph on. You see, a chronograph works best if it's cloudy, because if you have the sun shining directly on the two photoelectric cells, one front, one back, you get erroneous readings. So you have to put these diffusers on if you're out in daylight. So it protects the sensors from the sun, because they need to be able to pick up the bullet as it passes, or the projectile as it passes over the front sensor. It starts the timer, and then as it passes over the rear sensor, which cuts the timer, and then through the genius of programming, is able to convert the time lapse into velocity. Now, it's incredible technology, it really is. But even though it's been around for quite some time, but no, this chronograph's a beauty. It cost me, it was $122 online from America, with $60 freight cost. So that took it up to $182. But because I think I had an extra 25% onto that with the difference rate in currency, I think it cost me around $230 Australian or something like that. And it took me, it was near on 3-4 weeks to get here, but that's okay, you know. I'm never in a hurry for things like that. When they get here, they get here. Well, when it goes past the delivery, the latest delivery date, you start to think, well, I wonder what happened to it. But that's only human nature, isn't it? Yeah. Anyhow, thank you, Stuffy. Yeah. So this afternoon, well, maybe this afternoon, I can get out there and do a YouTube video, record a video, upload to YouTube about my two Jakarta air rifles, the Model 35 and the Model 25, which are 22 caliber. And but I've got to mow the grass. The rear lawn is, well, the lawn back and front there, I mean, the grass is just over ankle high. It's just, it tends to make me a little bit depressed when the lawn's untidy, because it makes the whole place feel untidy. All right, you probably think, yeah, but look at your shed. It's very true. My shed is really cluttered, but it's cluttered with real good stuff. You know, there's all the boxes you saw. It contained my first self-published novel. Yeah, I went all out. Yeah, I went all out. I got 2,500 soft covers printed. Cost me a lot of money, but it was my dream. It was my dream to do it. I had the money to do it, and if I hadn't have done it, I would have always been left wondering. Of course, now in retrospect, I wish I hadn't done it. But it's important to follow one's dreams, but you must think seriously how much that dream is going to cost you. You must. And a prime example of this, here in Coffs Harbour, there was a young woman. I don't know if she was married or was a family venture, but it was the young woman I spoke to. She started up a little coffee shop on the corner position, a good position, although it was a fair size shop, and I think the rent would have been fairly high for such a well-positioned shop. And she called it Gina's Delights. She was making these delights at the back of the cafe, and I saw the transformation of the store. She must have spent a lot of money doing this. The equipment that she got, and the rest, and what work that was carried out, putting up walls and what have you. So this was obviously her dream. But 6 months later, they had to close down. She closed the store down. So her dream was proved to be a disaster. See, that's why you've got to be very careful following your dreams. It's all well and good to say, well, I want to do this, that, and the other. But invariably, this, that, and the other costs money. So you've got to be very mindful about things. Now, I often say nothing ventured, nothing gained, and what you have to lose. But in some instances, what you have to lose is a lot of money. And what makes it worse, if you haven't got that money yourself from savings and you've had to borrow the money, that makes it worse still. Because then once your dream fails, you've still got to pay back that money. And that's when you're really between a rock and a hard place. So please, folk, think seriously, long and hard, before you decide to follow your dreams, because you often hear about those who followed their dream and were successful. But yeah, usually 1 in a million. And that means 999,999 folk followed their dreams but failed. Now, it's very easy when you're successful to go on about how you did this, that, and the other to get there. Very easy once you've succeeded. But take it from me, the road to success is a very rocky one, as much as it is a very steep one. And the sad truth, the cold, hard, light of day truth is that most people will never get there. They'll just fail. Yes, so it looks like that either I'll be doing the recording of the video this afternoon, or I have to decide to mow the lawns. And to tell you the truth, the thought of having to do those lawns, to get out there with the line trim and do all the edges, which the back yard's not too bad, but the front yard, well, it takes ages to line trim the edges. Because we've got rockeries out the front, and there's edging around that, and you've got all around it. Oh God. And then the thought of mowing all those lawns with the thick grass, which means the cassia gets filled up with every half par. I'll be doing it for hours. I really haven't got the motivation to do it, you know. There was a couple of young blokes cutting the lawn next door here a few days ago. That's what they do for a living. And I was almost tempted to say, look, fellas, how much to do this lot here? I was. Oh, well, what can I say? The age thing, partly, yeah. Partly the age thing. Oh, God. You know, I did my shirt up because I didn't want to, I just thought it looked a bit better. What do you reckon, Stuffy? Look, I really haven't got anything else to talk about. I've mentioned everything on my notes, and I think it's time. It's 1:29, so I haven't done too bad. I've been on for 30 minutes. But I will give serious thought to how I can have a better presentation and something that might interest people. You say, oh, that old guy, that Hampton's on air, Hangout is on at 1 p.m. I don't want to miss it. You know, that sort of thing. Maybe I can build up a following. Yeah, if I can have something that interests people. I don't know what I can do. I really don't know what I can do to interest people. I think it's very hard to garner people's interest these days, you know, because there's so much going on in the world. And there's, you know, in all honesty, who wants to sit around and listen to an old guy rambling on about this, that, and the other, and most of the time not rambling on about anything at all. Oh dear, I don't know. But I tell you what, I'm very happy with this Logitech webcam. Very happy with it indeed. The picture is just so much better. So much better. I did get on the YouTube because it had on the controls it's got widescreen, but I think it's set for widescreen and you can't adjust it. But I did get onto YouTube and typed in Logitech C920 just to see what videos were there. And there were a lot of videos, but not one of them mentioned anything about the widescreen. But even though there was a little circle there that you could click, you couldn't click it. It's oxymoronic as that sounds. But one thing that they did say in the video is that the microphone wasn't all that good. Now, I'll just have to wait and see when I play back this video what the sound's like. So maybe I might have to get another microphone. I don't know. But I'm more than happy with the picture. It's a vast improvement on the other one. And yeah, I'm just scrolling through here. So it's cool, isn't it? All right, listen. With that said, I think it's time for me to say to anyone out there who might watch, or to anyone out there who might look at the video later on, either on YouTube or Google Plus. Look, thank you so much for watching, and I'll be back tomorrow, 1 p.m. on the dot. And until then, bye for now. Bye. So long, folks.